Hey.
This is the T-shirt report, live from the garment zone of SGIA 2015 here in beautiful, foggy Atlanta. I've never seen so much fog.
Oh.
A crowd is here. We'll have these people put out. Sitting with me today are two people from SaatiPrint, Greg Jensen and Keith Perkins. Keith, I've been spending a lot of time with lately as we've been working on a big project. But what's your background, Greg? Tell us about your background in screen printing.
I have a degree in printing from Rochester Institute of Technology.
Oh.
I worked in production for a few years after getting out of college. And then I joined Intercontinental Chemical, and I was in product development, sales, and ultimately the executive vice president of the company. And then I switched recently, about 9 years ago, to Saati and developed the program at Saati. Good.
And that's why you hired Keith?
Yes.
Because he was a loyal fellow?
Yes.
Keith, what's your background? You're a real screen maker. You're a real screen maker.
I am. I spent 10 years, 2 locations, high volume screen making. We did some good quality work. I was recruited out of production by ICC Chemicals to work for Greg. Spent 10 years with Greg, and then I've been with Saati a little over 8 years now.
Oh, so Greg moved away and he brought you with him. He gave you an offer.
Yes,
he knows where the bodies are buried. So.
They call us the A-team.
Yes.
So I think the most interesting thing I've worked with you on, when I went to Greg Kitson's Pro Screen, you demonstrated the flat cleaning table, which
Correct.
I've seen every time I went to Greg Kitson's shop, and you just seem to make it sing, especially cleaning squeegees. I was so impressed. Tell us about the flat screen, and tell us about the YouTube videos they can go to.
Okay. We have a lot of these videos online with YouTube. You can go to YouTube and search Saati Reclaim. You can search the Saati Pro Coat. There's a couple other videos. Main Gate and Screenworks will take you to the squeegee cleaning and the flat stainless steel countertop reclaim. The table itself we use for multiple different things. Cleaning squeegees, we tend to put the product in a little Rubbermaid container, cut 50-50 with water, use it as an applicator to scrape the ink off the squeegees, dip them in, brush them in real well, rinse it off with a garden hose, and rack it to dry. It's very fast, very efficient. You don't have to deal any with harsh solvents. It's truly a water-driven process entirely.
And I remember that really was created at ICC so many years ago, the ink degradant.
Yes. Rather than, we would refer to the salt, typically you'd use solvent, maybe a safety clean tank to clean squeegees. Mm-hmm. That's, we would call the dry cleaning method. And this is more shampoo and rinse.
Uh-huh.
You're applying a chemical, brushing it in, chemically changing the ink from plastisol into water-based, and then wash it away with water.
So reassure me and the people watching that, you mean plastisol down the drain with water?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Destroys it, breaks it down to its 3 component parts, pigment, vehicle, and resin, and makes it the particle size is about 1/4 of a micron, which is able to be attacked by the bacteria in the POTW.
And give me your description of a commercial water filtration plant or a water facility.
Well, we would call those POTWs, publicly owned treatment works, and that's the city sewer. It dumps to the city sewer. They will typically add a polymer, put the wastewater into a pond. They add a chemical called a polymer flocculant. They drop the solids out of it, and then agitate it to put oxygen into the water so the bacteria can destroy what's left, and then they dump it into the stream.
I've gotten into trouble by saying drain safe. And people say, yeah, it goes right down the drain into my backyard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
No. It must be either into a septic system, as long as the septic system is allowed to have industrial waste,
right,
or the POTW, the publicly owned treatment works.
And also, over at Saati, I saw a new exposure unit. You guys have come out with several LED units that have been very good. I've tested them. I like them a lot, but this one is a new one.
Yes. A traditional exposure unit, but powered with an LED, but not the LED strips where it would be like replacing a fluorescent tube unit, where you get the LED strips are very close to the screen, and you get a lot of the light undercutting of the positive to kill the detail. This is more of a point light source. the light source may be multiple LEDs, but they're in an array, a circle, a disc at the bottom of the unit with a reflector. So the light comes up, gets collimated, and comes straight up to the positive, and we can hold fine detail positives with this, fine detail work.
The Saati 300 that I tested, that was
Yes.
300 watts. I tested that in Ohio. What's the wattage of this new unit?
450.
Oh.
450 watts.
Okay.
And that's about equivalent somewhere between a 3.5K to a 5K, depending on how close the light is to the glass.
So, what do you think typical exposure times would be? I like dual cures myself, but what are you recommending for a high definition stencil?
On this unit, we were shooting our new PHU series emulsion, pure photopolymer. It's fast, in about 4 to 5 seconds. Now that's
That
very
actually
good.
makes me nervous.
But the timer is actually in a tenth of a second, so it has enough variability that you can control a good exposure with it.
And your dual cure is going to expose a lot longer because
Right.
of the
You'd
diazo.
probably be 20 seconds, something like that, with a dual cure.
Want
So-
to touch base on the nanometer or the output?
Yes, we've done a lot of research in the correct nanometer wavelength of light that these LEDs must have. And there's 365, there's 385, there's 395, and we found that the 405 nanometer has the best strength. The longer wavelength has better strength to punch through the emulsion and get an exposure completely through it.
Okay. So, what else have you seen at the show, or what else have you got at the show, Keith?
We've got video on all the reclaim and the process of the flat stainless steel countertop. We've got a Saati Pro Coat over there. That's 2 screens, all 4 sides simultaneously. We've got the new Saati Top 12 stretching system, air bars.
And we're promoting the PHU series of emulsion. Now we've got four different emulsions in that PHU series, and this is a hybrid photopolymer, so it's really a dual cure technology, but sensitized with a photopolymer. And it's designed to do what we need to do in t-shirt printing now. Plastisol's going away, so it can do plastisol, it can do silicone, it can do discharge, water-based. It'll do all of them. In order to hold up to the water-based, the discharge, and we must do a post-exposure on the emulsion rather than traditionally you would put an acid hardener on the emulsion.
Yeah, I know
then it
that.
becomes you can't reclaim it. So this product, what we're able to do is post-expose it, couple of minutes of exposure with an exposure unit, and this will increase the water resistancy about 1,000 times. So we're getting print runs in production shops in Central America of 25,000 impressions before they see any breakdown, which is even better than you could with a traditional water-resistant diazo with hardener on it.
Right.
It's not going to last 20,000 impressions, where this emulsion will.
I'm going to add my own story, and that
I know you would.
when I first learned, I used a water-resistant emulsion. I love the latitude of it because I was a photographer before I came into screen printing. And I called up my representative, who was actually a pretty good friend, and I told her, this emulsion, it's breaking up. It's looking brittle. It looks like a dry lake bed. And we went back and forth. We talked about what I'd been doing, and she said, well, how many impressions are you getting? I said, it's breaking down around 75,000 prints. And she was in Chicago, and I believe I could hear her scream through the phone. She was quite angry. She said 75,000 prints. So
At that point, it becomes disposable.
right. So, but even so, I've never liked hardeners because I don't see why we really have to do it, because a properly exposed stencil. And I believe that from the work that I've been doing, especially in testing the 300 watt unit,
Yes.
that I sense how, when I compared it to other LED units, that it just had better penetration power.
Yes.
Now, you guys are famous for promoting the Stouffer T2115.
Yep.
I've been a huge fan of that. So I would like to finish up by talking about how we can demonstrate to people that they're still underexposing, and in my mind, that's under curing. because yes, you're exposing it, but you haven't finished curing the stencil yet. You got to move the you have to move the UV energy all the way through, because especially with water-based inks, you're rubbing a big rubber eraser on the inside of the screen, and if it's still raw, that's why it breaks down.
Break down. Yes. And that's what the 21-step scale, when we expose so that it's what we would have is a solid step 7. The emulsion, after we wash it out, emulsion stays in steps 1 through 7. We know that at that Stouffer step, you have exposed all the way through to the back to the squeegee side of the emulsion. That test is only testing how far the light has penetrated, how much you've exposed that emulsion, and that's critical. So we either shoot, if it has a film positive on it, we shoot it to a solid step 7. If you're on a computer to screen system that does not use film positive, we shoot to a solid step 6, as the film eats up 1 step. So the screen actually only sees a step 6, even though we're doing a step 7.
So where can they find you more? I mentioned YouTube. Now, I found that when I just search for Saati, I get a lot of Indonesian people. So I'm suggesting SaatiPrint.
SaatiPrint, and it'll pull it up, and there's videos on how to do the exposure test with the 21-step scale. There's the flat countertop reclaim. There's probably 20 or 25 videos
at least.
On different products that we have and different techniques that we have.
I know also that that same technique is demonstrated at Greg Kitson's site at Mind's Eye Graphics. He's got a YouTube channel also, and here, all of you're just demonstrating how much fun it is to clean screens and clean squeegees. I'm so excited about the squeegee cleaning part myself.
That's because you don't have to get dirty, Richard.
There we go.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, my friends from SaatiPrint, Greg Jensen and Keith Perkins. This is Richard Greaves. I'm with the T-Shirt Report. Scott Fresner is our studio director. We have a great audience here today. We're printing things over in the garment zone for the Denver Children's Hospital and breast cancer awareness. A lot of interesting things. It's too bad you didn't come and see us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, sir.